jeans culture. It seems to me it's the culture of poverty. This is Frank and Angie in Cuenca, Ecuador. Live abroad almost 8 years. And what are some cultural changes, if any, we may have noticed in the going on 8 years? One of the things Angie mentioned, and I had noticed but hadn't brought it up, was we're seeing a bit more of the torn jeans culture. I'm not saying it's overwhelmingly prevalent or anything, just more than it was before. It just causes me to think. It seems to me it's the culture of poverty. The culture of poverty. It's not real culture. Yeah, it's not real. It's not real culture. Let me explain just briefly where that's coming from, this culture of poverty idea. When you're walking down the street, especially in developing countries, everybody knows there's maybe there's some beggars or whatever. But beyond the beggars, which they can clean those up, tell them to leave, whatever, you can tell somebody that's sleeping on the street from his clothes are disheveled. They're not just disheveled, they're dirty. They're just dirty from top to bottom. And guess what else? Yes, he's got holes and tears in him. That's what I'm talking about. Now, you might say, yeah, wait a minute, you're kind of stretching. No, I used to, listen, I grew up in southern Italy, and this was a little ways after World War II. You can say southern Italy was poor back then, but let me tell you something. I went to school there. It didn't matter how humble a family might be. They always put on the best clothes. If they had any money at all, they spent it on clothes. And when they went out, they looked really good. I don't want to say they looked like $1 million, but really, compared to the culture of poverty, they do look like $1 million. Who knows? Maybe in Italy they're wearing these torn jeans now. You know.
Well, somebody said that to me that the reason why you don't see a lot of the holy jeans here is because they think that that's a sign of poverty and they don't want to be seen with holy pants.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was referring to. That right there. But apparently that's somewhat. It's still very, very small amount. So thank goodness. So that's one small thing we've noticed. Was there anything else? Yeah, you can't argue with Ecuador's weather, that's for sure. And you think back about the Panama, you're like, wow, this is so much more comfortable. But I'm not sleeping, so take your pick, you know. Want to sleep or you want to be comfortable walking around? You know, that's the question for today. Yeah, talking about the poverty culture and the torn up jeans, it brings to mind another point, and it's this. That started, you know where, up north, and so there's a certain amount of transplanting. I don't know if anybody has noticed this. I've said before I'm a student of observation, and I observe that a lot of non-North American countries copy North America politically. Yes, this is true. This is a fact. You look around throughout history, you have to really be observant, and it has to be something that you're kind of clued in on. That's one of my most interesting hobbies is historical research. You know, you see things like when the monetary system was debased and removed in the US, the gold and silver, some kind of agreement that they decided to not honor anymore, and then they started removing gold and silver out of the regular coins, and then I didn't realize, but other countries followed suit in the Nixon era when they started removing the gold and silver from the coins. Of course, that caused inflation after that, and but apparently other countries, even in Europe, like France, and it turns out even Ecuador and South American and Mexico, all over the world, sort of a copycat thing. Like, I don't know if it was copycat or just, hey, here's a good idea, let's do this. Or maybe it was more like, well, if you're going to give us debased dollars, then we're just going to give you debased our currency, you know. It's kind of like a tit for tat thing. That, my dear, is an accordion. Kind of a nice looking one too. The other thing that was on my mind was things like marijuana laws. You know, when the marijuana was not illegal at the turn of the 20th century, then the pharmaceutical companies had their say and it became illegal. And at the same time, other countries also became really harsh. And then recently, places like Northwest Canada had, in the last dozen years, relaxed the way they see the marijuana possession and all that. They're one of the first places. There's a few others around the world too, but I'm saying that now that this whole new marijuana culture has broke out in the States, you see other countries like Uruguay and, you know, places in South America where they just, I'm just saying it's kind of a copycat thing. There's other things too. I'd be really interested in having a conversation with somebody, or if you want to post in the comments on anything like that that you might have noticed.